Well,
Okay.
welcome to our Talk Tuesday. I'm Josh, Mr. Josh, and I teach K2.
And I'm Miss Laura, and I'm in K1.
And today it'll be on positive discipline, getting to the root of misbehavior. And I just want to, first of all, thank you for showing up and thank Laura for joining me because I was solo and she's expressed interest. I'm like, come on. And so we've been working on ways of really making this interactive. So anytime you have a question or want to interject something, please interrupt us because we're in this together, not just as educators and parents, but we're parents as well. And half the time when I am speaking my part of this, I'm coming from a parent perspective, not just a teacher.
And it's important for us to look at this as a safe space where we can all share because we're all going through the same challenges every day. Okay, so what is positive discipline? When you hear this phrase, what comes to your mind? What do you think of?
Don't be shy.
Good inside.
Good insight.
Good inside, yeah.
Focusing on the positive stuff, not the negative.
Yeah.
Or like positive words, how you put your sentence together.
Yeah, thinking about the language that you're using.
Patience. Wow, you guys are way above where I thought. When I was first introduced to 6 years ago, I had a very challenging class, and all I could think about because of the challenges I face is, what's so positive about discipline? What am I going to do? And when I showed up, I thought, all right, maybe there's a quick solution that I can get things back in order. And the first thing that really stood out, and it reshaped my entire philosophy on positive discipline, is the first thing they taught is if you take the word discipline, they get the word discipline from disciple. And they said disciple is that of a teacher or learner. And so then I'm thinking, oh great, I already have my plate full of teaching this. What am I going to teach next? But over this course of time, like for the last 6 years, I've been implementing it at home with students in parent workshops. And it's really reshaped my views of different behaviors and how I can make connections and get to know the children that much better.
And it really is all about connection, right? When you have that connection with the child and the children, whether it's at home or in school, that's where it all starts. That's the foundations for being able to introduce positive discipline.
And one way that they focus on is viewing the misbehavior is, I love this quote, is a misbehaving child is a discouraged child. And so when I think of this, what resonates is not just looking at the behavior as a problem, let's squash it, let's get rid of it, but what can we do to really understand the child and what they're trying to tell us?
Okay, so before we can actually start to think about how do we create good people, how do we make our children into good people, we need to think about what our goals are for those children. What do we want in order to get them future ready for this world that we're living in today especially? And what are the challenges that come along when you're trying to reach those goals? What are the challenges that you're facing? We do have a chart where this is filled in. I don't know, should we?
Not yet, they have to think
Okay,
first.
so we want to think your future goals for your child. Maybe you'd like them to become more responsible, but what are the challenges that you're facing to get there? So you can have a little chat together, have a little think about it, and then we'd like to hear from you, and we can discuss our challenges that we're facing.
Yeah, I was going to say.
If anybody wants to share openly or...
Self-sufficiency.
I think it's, for me, it's the boundaries. Like, you give them the finger, they take the hand, and that, like, if you don't keep
Yes, firm.
firm, exactly.
Yeah.
Fine, but firm. That's the positive.
It's knowing when to have those boundaries, knowing when to be kind or when you're being too kind, and just making sure that you keep that consistency. And that is a big challenge.
So the challenge is children crossing the line.
Yeah.
Especially as they learn that the line can't be pushed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable here, now I can get a little bit more and all that. Like, as they learn, they move the line, how you really keep that.
That's
firm.
true. Yeah.
Or switched on.
They're extremely smart and very strategic.
challenge with my child having a selective hearing. Whenever she wants to hear, she hears. Whenever I'm trying to tell her something else and she doesn't want to hear it, she pretends she doesn't.
So the
Yeah.
challenge would be ignoring and selective hearing.
Yeah. And it's when you're given an instruction, you're having to keep repeating and saying it over and over
I
as
even
well.
started to do like, okay, this is what I said, like, what did I say? Can you repeat it right now?
Yeah, yeah, just to check that they've understood, yeah. And maybe you could start off with like a very simple instruction, and I know that we kind of go to 2-step instructions, 3-step instructions, but just kind of bring it back and make sure you're giving them one simple instruction. And you can also say, in 5 minutes, I'd like you to do this, so that they can,
She tells me, okay, another 5.
Yeah.
like the boundaries constantly being pushed.
And that's a good one, because later on when we look at the chart, we can talk about strategies on how we can get responses from children. It's not easy because the challenges actually get worse before they get better, but when you implement and kind of show that consistency, it does get better.
Yeah.
Lena.
Yeah, so the biggest one for my kids is anger management. The lashing out, the hitting, the screaming. And even for adults, it's still hard. But
Yeah.
I mean, at least adults, they don't hit, you know, and the hitting can get really
What age?
unsafe. So I have a 6-year-old and twins that are 4.
Okay.
So it's the fighting.
We have more.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just a future characteristic I think of is self-awareness, like understanding how your actions impact others. And the hitting would be maybe one of the challenge, but also
Yes,
just, like
exactly.
wanting to antagonize or bug others and not understanding. Like,
Yeah, self-awareness, self-reflection,
So,
and empathy going
poking.
along with that as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
Jen, overreacting
Mm.
is a challenge.
Yeah.
Just overreacting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when we think of that, when we think of the overreaction, what we really want is that regulation.
Yeah, self-regulation.
And for me, it's manipulation. I have a younger kid, so I'm like, I'm gonna spend time with Rika. Now he's like, so it's like kind of mommy time. Now it's like open mommy time. Give him the normal, so he's copying the stuff I tell him to.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And is this your oldest with the youngest? Yeah, and sometimes the birth order has a place in that. And I know many times, you know, when you're the queen or the king and prince of the house, and all of a sudden you get dethroned, they go through that spiral. And so, again, you know, these are great examples, because when we look at the school chart, we can kind of pinpoint what your children are saying, what your child is saying.
Should I turn or should we still?
Anybody else? Oh, yes.
Future characteristics? Kindness?
Yes.
Yeah,
In bold letters.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a daughter who's not at ELC. I have one at ELC, one at elementary. Generally, she's very well behaved and everything. Last year, she had to go through a lot of bullying in class.
Mm.
Oh.
We brought it up with the teacher and everything. They separated their classes, you know, this year. But then she's still holding that grudge. You know, generally with everybody else, she's very kind. She'll be very empathetic as well. But with that particular person,
She can't
like,
forgive.
yeah,
She's
she's
not
able to
ready
forgive.
to
Yeah,
forgive.
like they ended up being on the same team in school for one of the sports, and she's like, I hope I can beat her, you know. So, you know, that sort of revenge,
Yeah.
feelings, the revengeful feelings, they're still lingering around. I'm not sure how
Did she
to
get?
help her.
Did she get an apology from the other child?
Yes, it got pretty intense. The parents were called in. All of that happened. Everything got sorted out. But she's still just not able to
Let it go.
Yeah, it's hard.
And then the worry for you is that it's hurting her inside, right? She's not hurting the other girl by feeling like that. It's her feelings.
self-esteem because of that incident.
Yeah,
I don't want them to stay for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah.
So that's been one of the challenges. I know that's probably a tough one to
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. And I think as a parent, you know, I mean, everyone probably holds the answer within themselves. And something like that is letting her have that safe space to talk it out.
Yeah.
And then, but also as the parent, because, you know, you have to, as parents, we kind of have to draw the line, we don't want to cross it where we're enabling, but I think it's a great way, you know, building that resilience. Like, you know, but this is what we do, and And some of the things, well, there's other techniques I use, but it's just breathing techniques where we incorporate positive psychology where we're focusing on the good. And it's kind of, you have to read, I just recently got my school counseling certification, and it was so easy to focus on these negative experiences, and you almost have to reset your thinking. There's different ways for that. So I can share it.
Definitely. Should I flip to the
Yeah.
next? Okay.
We were going to write these out, but then they already have a list.
We do have a list.
Ta-da,
yeah.
and in Arabic. So one thing to point out as we do, like, won't listen, back talk, oh my God, it never fails. Last night, I'm trying to mentally prepare to give the presentation today, and my son kind of starts this. And so the first thing that I thought about is, oh good, I can use this as an example for today. And we want them to back talk, and when I think about it, we also want them to be able to communicate and hold self-discipline. So in these incidences, I don't try to raise my voice and talk over them. I just keep calm. And it's like, how can I model self-discipline and become a communicator and keep it down, And sometimes it takes a lot of work, but at the end of the day, we're the adults, and we can lose our temper, but it's important that when we're communicating with our children, we communicate as a role model and without the emotion.
Yeah. And if you do ever show your emotion and you do feel, maybe I shouldn't have said that, and maybe you regret in that moment, just what I would do is I actually apologize and I say, I'm really sorry for speaking to you like that. I felt overwhelmed and I hope that you forgive me, and just let my child know that I've made a mistake and we're all human and we all do it, but I've apologized and I want to move forward, and how can I make you feel better?
And it's awesome because it just shows the trusting relationship you have with your daughter. And I was sharing with Laura, my son calls me out if my voice raises, because it doesn't raise, and I'm like, what? But I used to think like,
when it does.
I could become very defensive, but I was sharing this with Laura, like, if he's perceiving me that I'm not speaking softly, then what can I do? And so it gives me a lot of self-reflection. It's like, it's not about me, it's about him. And so it's ways of just, again, making that connection and reframing and phrasing how you speak to your child.
And showing respect from both sides as well, because parenting's changed over the years, and children are not as silenced as they used to be. And I think going forward, they need to be able to advocate for themselves, and we want them to have those conversations with us as well, where they are self-advocating with their parents as well.
And it really is beneficial because I've been practicing positive discipline for 6 years. And even when I started, I'm like, oh no, I'm too late. It should be in the parent handbook. But what's happened is, even with my daughter who's 17, we have this understanding that if our voice kind of gets a little bit much, we give ourselves a break. And Zoe goes, I'm like, I need 20 minutes. And a lot of times I come home from work and they're like, give Dad his 20 minutes, and it's like building that trust and that connection with your child. And that's why positive discipline isn't that punitive punishment that we think it is. It's that, how am I going to build my relationship and make it better with my child?
Yeah, and then they have an understanding for that 20 minutes of why you need it, why it's important, and how it will impact the rest of the evening going forward as well.
Yeah, and if our next presentation's on self-regulation, I can explain more about that then.
If
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So sometimes these tactics you keep repeating, and it takes a while for them to really show you some, positive results.
Yeah.
So I always get challenged by my husband that he's a bit more old school, and I'm very much into the positive discipline. And he's always asking, like, what's the research that backs this up? Who says that your way is going to work versus the old way? Like, look, they're still hitting. Look, they're still shouting. So to what extent, this is all new theory, right? But to what extent do we know that this is going to work and this is the right way to do it?
We actually, everything's a working hypothesis. And I think it's for me, you're going to have your ups and downs. And I'm trying to give an example.
Like you said to me yesterday, kind of, you need to fail at something before you get good at it. So when you're giving this discipline to your child, and still you won't see instant results. But I think if you're consistent and you do have the firm boundary in place, so yes, you're doing it in a positive way, but you're also being firm. And I think sometimes the mistake can be made where it's just all about gentle parenting, but you don't quite have the balance of the boundary and the firmness. So it is practicing the positive discipline and the gentle parenting, but also your child understanding that there is a boundary and there's also then consequences, and you can still say no. It's not about, oh, we just give them everything they want. Actually, it's the opposite. We're doing it in a way that is respectful and communicated well to them as well. And I think that time will always tell, because it might take a year for you to see a change in behavior, but you do get there. And the phases, it is always a phase. They kind of go through different phases. And fighting, like you have 3 children who are below the age of 6, and that's their natural instinct as well sometimes, is to fight with your siblings. And it's just about making sure that they know when to be safe.
And you're setting a strong foundation as well. And like I was saying, you know, I've been doing this over time, and it's like, when's it working? But now it's starting to pay off.
Yeah.
You know, it's that moment, like we say, my voice gets a little higher and raised, and I'm able to, I think it's all about your self-reflection too, knowing when to step back and go, ooh, I need to apologize for that. I was wrong. And knowing that this is a teamwork and not, you know, it's not that when I yell, you listen to me, but it's like, I want them to be able to problem solve because they want to. I want them to be able to communicate because they want to, not because I'm telling.
Yeah.
And the one thing we have to look about, this is what children learn to do. This is the things they learn to do, and they want to push our buttons. We have to teach this. This is explicit teaching. And so, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it takes time to grow.
Yes.
I wish I had the picture, but what resonates with me, especially as I was going through getting my counseling certification, is it used to show, you know, the tree with the roots for academic excellence. Now it's all about self-regulation, and it's all about that social, emotional. Like without that, you can't blossom. So and with the fighting, I have some other ideas because it depends what kind of reaction. I don't want to get off topic, but really quickly, when I was doing a workshop, you know, you learn, even as a parent workshop, I learn things all the time, and that's why I love it, is my kids like to fight because they know they can get my attention. And they don't fight when I'm around. They fight the minute my wife steps in. It's like, oh my goodness, they see us talking, they fight. And so there's a few different strategies where it's like they start to fight in front of me, we walk outside, the fighting stops. So it's like, so you have to know what's the behavior, what are they trying?
The redirection.
Yeah, and then there's other things, like if you're gonna fight, go to your room. And they're like, what? Like, I don't go to your room, or I'm gonna just sit there and watch you. And after a while, they're like, you know, there's different strategies. So it's understanding what's driving the behavior.
Have they ever gotten to the bottom though of why it is when the mom is around the behavior it's like exponentially worse? Because, you know, if my wife ever has to go for work, then she'll call and she'll be like, how is everything? And I'm like, because you know, usually we face some of these issues, like, you know, in the morning not so much, but the bedtime has so much. And I was like, everything is fine. Everything moves like a clock. And then if she comes back, obviously it's like nobody wants to sleep. Nobody. Have they ever gotten to the?
It is a lot of the time.
It's almost like I haven't seen my mom all day. It's my turn, you know, and.
But behavior can change when both parents are there. I don't know if any of you see that, but I see that with my child, that she'll be amazing and then her dad will come in, and because we're both there, things will change. And then, or he'll tell me that she's been amazing, calm, and then I'm there, and because we're both there, things start to change. And it is, I guess, the attention.
It is.
That they see that we're then distracted with each other possibly, and she needs to fight for both of our attention then. But we do see that. And in terms of the mom, how that's explained is that mom is their safe space. So when they've been in school all day and they're on their best behavior, they're following the rules that they should be and being kind friends, and there might be something that didn't go their way in that day that they just had to let go. Then they see their mom and suddenly they can show that they're not quite right. And it's a way of kind of regulating themselves and their brains by just releasing it all to your safe person who will love you no matter what. So it's difficult, but it's also a compliment because you are their safe space who they can show their worst side to and release that, and then be ready to face the next day at school, showing their best side and showing that they can fit into the community and the society. So unfortunately, we do always get their worst side.
It's exactly what Mr. Josh was saying. For example, yesterday I had a 5 and 4 years old. They were debating about the sticker on my door. So I did not interrupt. I was just listening. And they were, yes, using words because we want to encourage communication skills. But at the end, they reached to a point that even with communication and all the super tussle frog thing, it didn't work. And he pushed it. So after this stage, I had to interfere. I had to interrupt them.
When it's safety,
the conclusion, they didn't they will reach to this point. They will reach to a point that even if I'm losing my words, and even if I'm doing all the techniques that we're learning, even putting the breathing thing. It's not working.
Oh gosh, are you okay?
Oh God, I didn't see it.
Oh, are you okay? So a lot of the time when you're in the moment like that, you try everything in those moments, but the best approach sometimes is after, once they've calmed down, and then say, can we have a little chat about what happened maybe an hour ago, and how do you think that your brother or your sister felt, and what could you have done next time that you feel like that? You feel like you really want to lash out. What could you do instead? So it's about finding the right moment to talk about it, because in the moment when it's heated, your words are just, their brains can't even process what you're saying sometimes because they are so heated and overstimulated, or they're feeling angry. So once they're calm, have those chats, and then keep repeating those chats. So today, if something happens that you don't like, how do you think you might handle that situation? And just giving them those thoughts, ideas that they can always go back to.
Yeah, and allowing them to have those arguments and to have that discussion. You're also viewing them as capable people, and that's what sometimes I think as adults it's like we want to protect and save our children before we let them fall. And I think it's important that viewing them as capable, and then once the pushing, that's when you can intervene and making sure you're not going to let somebody do too much of a risk taking where it can cause harm, but you're allowing them that opportunity to express themselves and to have that. And then
if I know that there is something wrong going to happen,
that's when
like the pushing or any.
That's when, because you've seen it now, you know when to draw the line. It's like, okay, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Break it up.
Anything else? Should I flip?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've discussed obviously the challenges that we're facing as well, and this is quite a powerful image, just to put into perspective the child's behavior. So what we see is the tip of the iceberg, and behind it, it is a lot more complex. So for example, we might see the crying child and we see tears, but behind that, it's more complex, and it could be a belief behind the behavior in terms of, if I cry, then I'm going to get my mommy or my daddy's attention. If I cry, then I will get what I want, because last time I did that, I got what I want when I showed tears.
So really, it's like this is the misbehavior, and this is where the discouragement is coming from. And I know I'm one when my children were younger, but how many give in because to stop your children from crying? Like you, okay,
Or
you
have
can
in
have
the
it
past.
one time, one time. And so, you know, sometimes it's that quick solution. Now it's kind of like, let's see what's really causing that. And so let's go to the next slide.
Yep.
So this is what positive discipline has done. So we've talked about some of these behaviors. And like, well, how are we going to approach it? What do we know they're trying to say? And if you look at the mistaken goal chart, it can be quite overwhelming. I remember when I was studying, I'm like, I didn't know where to look. I'll kind of guide you through it in a couple of slides. But what they've done is they've broken up different types of behaviors into 4 areas. The undue attention, where I only belong when you pay attention to me. So like, if I cry, I'm going to get my way. Or this is a very popular one at the ELC age. Misguided power. I belong when I'm the boss. And that's like, how many of you struggle getting the IT away, the TV turned off, brushing your teeth, all those daily things where it's like, it's time now, getting ready for school. And then there's the revenge, where I'm not belonging, so I'm going to hurt back. And it could be with words, it could be physically. And so this is how the children, they draw their attention from parents. And then the assumed inadequacy is like, I give up, leave me alone. So they don't feel like they can do it, so why bother? So if we can kind of look at where, this is kind of guiding our thinking about, okay, I think my child might be here, but we don't know. But Laura's going to show you something, because it's always about our children. And now the next slide, it's about us. Finally, something for adults.
So.
And it begins with... Wait for it.
So obviously we have these 4 areas, and before we can categorize them, I guess with the challenges that we're facing, we also need to think about how it's making us feel. So when our child is showing us challenging behaviors, how are we feeling and responding? Because how we feel and respond can determine
which area
your child's fitting in. So it could be if we're feeling, I don't know, frustrated, for example, when they are challenging us, we're feeling frustrated. Where is this fitting in? Like their mistaken goal.
So take a moment and think.
We'll look at this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so before we go to the next slide, just think of something that happened recently or ongoing that's kind of driving you a little bit nutty and you want to stop it, and think about the feeling attached to it.
And feel free to share.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've all felt these moments, we've all felt all of these feelings from our child's behavior as well. We've all been there.
I actually had one that happened this morning.
Share.
Yeah, so
Nice.
Usually we're getting to a point now where we have the 2 big kids and then we have the twins, the day 1 twins. And usually everyone is sleeping in their own room, but in the morning, like right before they wake up, we entertain them coming into our room to kind of come in and snuggle. And this morning, what happened was the eldest, who's 10, so I still don't know why he's doing this, but I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, comes in, and then his sister, who's 8, also comes in. And somehow, some way, what should be like, okay, this should be a relaxing way to start, falls into, move away from me, I need more room. And basically, like a whole fight that just kind of like, he's looking at me funny now, he's annoying me, and I'm like, the reason there's no room is because you guys are too big to be in here in the first place. Like, this bed is not designed, like, it's a big bed, but as big as it is, it's not designed for 4. And, if this is how you're going to be, then why are you even doing this? So I guess it was frustrated.
Yeah.
I didn't really lose my cool. I just kind of was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get up.
Find a quiet space.
And now I'm going to go back.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, but it was frustrating.
Yeah.
That whole like, everyone wanted to be next to their mom, which is fine. I get it now.
Yeah.
And I don't mind starting off, our day like that, because I think it's, a great way to start your day while you still can, because, in like 3-4 years.
You'll miss it.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't.
Yeah.
'Cause I still have another batch coming
Yeah.
up.
That's true.
This will keep on happening for me for the next 10 years. But it was frustrating. And it was something I would like, because it's so early in the morning.
Yeah.
And you're still trying to get there's no tactic that you can use.
Yeah,
You yourself are not even thinking, but it was frustrating.
Their energy levels come fast the second that they wake up, but
Significantly
it's a
faster.
slow progress for us.
Yeah.
So we're kind of not on the same level in the morning as well.
Yeah. Even without looking at the chart, the first thing I'm thinking of is
I'll go back.
they're fighting for your attention. Oh,
Yeah.
go
This one?
to the next one after the feelings. We'll do the chart. And so what I'm thinking is you were saying annoyed, and it's that undue attention. Like they're basically fighting for the attention and who can get the most attention. And
Yeah.
so and with siblings, it's always going to happen. And and it's a great way of like them trying to get their way.
And there's no cure for that, really. It's that we're all kind of.
And you're right. Some frame of mind is that fact that it's not going to be forever, and some of these you kind of have to hold on dear. Like how many of you have children get in bed with you at night? It doesn't last forever. One of the things that got me through that is eventually by grade 1 they just stop. They realize I don't need this, and as much as you try to fight it, there's certain things like
That's grade 1.
there's certain things
Didn't
like
stop.
yeah, grade 1. I mean, but
Mine's 5th grade. and
Mine's
he's
grade
still
1,
doing
she
it.
didn't stop.
5th grade, and he's still doing it.
And she told me she has no intention of
Is
stopping
that your
anytime
oldest one?
soon.
Yeah.
Oh, it's well.
Yeah.
I don't.
He's used to it.
The oldest one takes a little longer, but the fact is I look at those moments, and now my 8th grader, he tucks me in bed. I go, I'm going to bed. He's like, I'll be right there, and it gets him off. That's how he gets off his IT, because we have a time limit. He's like, you're old. Get him to bed at 8 o'clock. I get in bed at 8 just so I can do my reading and everything. And he'll tuck me in bed, and a lot of times if my wife is in the shower, he'll just lay with me for like 30 minutes, and we have that bonding time. So some of those things you have to really kind of like, okay, it's not forever, but at the same time, thinking of this gold chart, it just kind of like think of that situation everybody just thought of. This one's a little bit tricky, and I'll try to really take my time to explain it. Think of that scenario and think of the feelings. And even though you're like, yep, you really have to concentrate in one area. And remember, we don't know what's happening inside our children's head. The one way to look at this, it's a working hypothesis. Something like when you're feeling challenged, like, oh my God, my son's not getting off IT, they want the power. And so when you do all the check boxes, and it's kind of like, I belong when I'm the boss, it's kind of like, what is he saying? Let me give me choices. And so let me rephrase that. A better scenario is at this early age when they're playing, like even in the classroom, they don't want to stop. It's that time limit.
Visual, having a visual of the time. I don't know if you've seen in our classroom, that we have the timers in the red would show 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and just having something that they can see visually so they know, okay, oh, there's only a little bit of red left, I better start doing the last things that I really, really want to do that are important to me. And it does work, it does help.
Because really what they want is that shared power.
Yeah.
And so you have to decide what works best for you. And scenarios that I use at home and in the classroom is, I know I have a 20-minute block. So I set my timer 20 minutes before. It depends on the class. This class I can go 5 minutes and they're done. But in the past, if I knew some kids needed more time, I immediately will stop them 20 minutes before and say, hey, we have 10 more minutes, or are you ready now? What are they going to say? 10 more minutes. So they get the 10 minutes, And then knowing I have 10 more minutes, I will say, that's been 10 minutes, we can clean up now, or we have time for 10 more minutes. So what are they going to say? 10 more minutes. And so when it goes off after that, I go, now it's my turn. You had your turn twice, I get a turn.
It's sharing
and so
the
you're
power,
sharing,
right?
but you're also giving that heads up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when the national anthem goes on every morning. I'm just into something. It's like, it's so hard to stop, you know, and I have to, because I have to model for the children. But yeah, I'm like, come on. I'm like, if I have to freeze, you guys freeze. But the children, they get so in tuned and so into something, you just can't take it away, you know. And they are quite capable. And so if you share that power, it might be less.
But it also
difficult.
gives them not just the power, but the responsibility.
Yes.
Like, you have this time. This is your visual aid for the timer. It might be on the TV, or we use the timers that we have. And it's your responsibility by the time that you see that there's only a little bit of red left to have finished what you need to do. And if you need to finish it later when we have the time again, keep it to one side. So we have little mailboxes. So they'd put the work that they still working on into their mailbox. And then they know when it's exploration or free time, that's when they'll head to their mailbox, and that's their responsibility. So just giving them a place where they can keep their unfinished work or their unfinished things with their name on and a sense of belonging, and it just keeps them learning how to be responsible and how to use their own time wisely and to organize themselves as well.
And you said something really important, Laura, because when she mentioned responsibility, if we go back to that characteristics chart where we want our kids to be responsible, so the challenge is they're not stopping, they're not listening, but now you're giving them strategies to do so, and in turn you're teaching responsibility.
Yeah. So sometimes you then, because you've done that and you've implemented that, you don't actually face the challenges. With just small strategies that they don't even realize, and it's giving them power and it's making them motivated, self-motivated as well.
I have an example of potentially the last one.
Assumed inadequacy.
And also that speaks to the iceberg. I don't know if you remember Mr. Josh with Liam last year. So this one morning he was like, everything was taking ages. That would take 2 seconds to put his t-shirt on, his shoes on, brush his teeth. And eventually he had a meltdown. And when you're angry, you forget to get curious, right? Because you're sometimes just so frustrated. Like, come on, finish, this shouldn't take time, we need to get out of the door. But then, you know, I eventually remember, get curious, not furious. And so I asked the question, like, is everything okay in school? And then he started crying more. And he said, Mr. Josh wants us to write to 100. And I can't do that. I don't want to go to school. And it happens very often. And now that I know it, you know, I always like try to figure out what's challenging.
Yeah.
And then when we got to Mr. Josh, it turns out he misunderstood, because Mr. Josh just said, write as much as you can.
Yeah.
You know, so that he can see how far along they can go.
Yeah, but I think it's amazing that you were able to recognize that in your child and you asked them. So like, that's...
It's not always, like, it doesn't always come to me, but sometimes I remember,
but
wait, maybe there's more to this, not usual behavior.
Yeah, like you've thought, okay, this doesn't seem quite right. There's something beneath the tip of what they're showing me. And you questioned and you found out, and then you were able to just make them feel better, speak with Josh and have that reassurance. Whereas had you not have had that conversation and recognized those behaviors and kind of been in tune, it could have then escalated, where it begins to be, well, I'm not good at anything. Because of one thing, at this age, it's can be such a fragile age for them that they just assume, because I couldn't do that, I can't do anything, then I give up.
And it's living proof that your approach with positive discipline is working. Because imagine if you approached it in a different, like, what's wrong? What are you doing? Stop crying. That would have just went, you know, that would have sent them overboard. But, you know, that's why, you know, is positive discipline the end all? No. But I think what it is you can take different aspects of it and implement it because it works, not just with children, but with relationships too. I mean, your spouses.
No, but it's true, you know, looking behind the behavior and thinking, how can I help, rather than how can I just say, yes, you are taking forever to do that, and no, you can't put your shoes on properly. Just looking behind and thinking, how can I say this in a kind way? How can I help in a kind way?
Mm-hmm. It takes away that lecture that kids don't want to hear. Does anyone have any other examples they want to share using the chart? Okay. Yeah.
I just have a challenge when you have more than two kids, like dividing your attention, or like two or three, or like, for me that's the biggest challenge, because they always, when they're all at home, they all fight for your attention.
For sure.
And, like, there's a lot of like fighting. And,
Yeah.
like for me, maybe it's similar to like the classroom situation, but at home that's my biggest challenge.
Yeah.
And just, you know, like the 3 hours before that time. So you probably get to see like a few of these, you know?
Yeah. And it could be, you know, when you have more than one child at home, it's like delegating like maybe some special time to each one, or maybe you have those special date nights, like you're this night, you know, because routines will help and they'll understand, oh, tonight's my night. Or, and you know what, the great thing is bring all your children together. Like, how would you like this? Do you want it on this time, or do you want it by night? And you'd be surprised, because when you let children have that buy-in, again, you're sharing the control with your children, but they can kind of work out how it's going to work, and they can problem solve. So a lot of times it's just like, you know, you can give them options. Do you guys want Monday? You know, who wants Monday, or who wants a little bit? Because you can't do it all at once. It's hard.
Which do you find the most challenging, like your older or your middle, or like which?
Older and middle.
Yeah.
The young one is
Yeah.
can be someone else.
And he's not noticing so much, and he's not feeling as much and having as many learning experiences. He's at home with you, and so I would say kind of start with your oldest and fill his cup, and then you can kind of move down. But I would say start with your oldest, because they do tend to be a little bit more complex, and then they're seen as the oldest, and sometimes they still just want to be the baby deep down, and that's all that they're crying out for. It's, oh, you're the oldest, so give up your toy, or you're the oldest, I expect more from you. And it's like this crying out, but I'm still your baby, I want to be your baby. So kind of thinking of that, starting with your oldest, because they're the ones that are noticing and realizing things more, and then working.
And your middle one's just trying to vie for his place, because he's competing with the oldest and the youngest. He's like, where am I?
Yeah.
My mom described me as the peanut butter and jelly of the kids.
He went to nursery start, and like the class teacher was asking me, so like, what's his birth order? I was like, yeah, he's number 2 of 3. She was like, oh, another middle child.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like this.
Middle child syndrome.
I have the same challenge, like much younger. Same thing. I've been giving so much love to the first one that I feel so guilty with the baby. And now he's having like a personality and a character, and I feel like I don't even know him. I'm trying to compensate so much.
Yeah.
When I try to compensate, like he wants me to rock him, like my 4-year-old wants me to rock him. He's like sleeping on top of it, literally on top of me. So we started to do like ice cream days after school, that's we spend time together, but it's like he's always thinking that the attention should only be for him. Even if his friends came over and he sees me with the baby, he would leave his friends and come.
There's the jealousy there.
It's a lot of jealousy, but it was not present. It just occurred because the baby just started, he's 10 months, and he just started to develop
personality.
I feel like we're neglecting him to compensate his feelings.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know where's the borderline, like, because I feel bad for this actually.
Yeah, and it's the typical mum guilt as well, and just know that that's so normal, because I think you feel guilty no matter what you do. If you were to give the baby attention, you'd feel guilty on the older child. If you were to give the older child attention, you'd feel guilty. But just know that your feelings are valid, and they are very normal. And the mum guilt, because it's such a balancing act, and I guess with the age difference as well. So what would you say going forward with the behaviors at the older child's?
I think it's again, you know, I would probably have to say it's just the attention, because the challenge is, now that your youngest has this personality, he feels more threatened, and there's that competition.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's just setting that, you know, maybe setting special time, like mommy son time in the evening, like this is our time. And then just knowing that when you're rocking your child, maybe set the timer, I need this much time. Huh?
Or just hide.
Yeah.
And how's your older one with the baby?
I mean, he's nice, but there's occasional like hidden kicks. Like he'd be on the floor and you just walk by and kick him. And sometimes I just pretend I didn't see, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's not like hurtful, but it could happen. And then there's sometimes like today he woke him up at 5:30 just to play with him. So I'm so confused.
Yeah. But every time you see these nice traits, just give him the attention for that. So it's so nice to see you being so gentle with your baby, and look how happy you're making your baby. He or she really loves you, and just kind of get their bond very strong as well. And then hopefully the threat and the competition, sibling competition will always be there, but hopefully it starts to just die down a little bit as well.
I'm so sorry, I'm just conscious of time, and
Yeah.
I would love, if this is what it's going to end up with, are there like
Tool cards?
tools?
Yeah. There's a tool card along with the. We can talk. Yeah, you bet.
Let's go through these.
So I have like 50 of these, and I was trying to think about the 8 best ones, so it's just a one-sided. If you email me, I can send you the doc. Just don't let Positive Discipline Association know. But I thought these would be something I would use in the classroom, and they're good enough for home. And so
we picked out the 8 most important.
This one is really key, connection before correction, and it can be used with any kind of behavior, because I was thinking about, I'll just give you an example, my son, you know, this is our 2nd year here. Before here, we were in a place for 10 years, and he was there from 2.5 to like last year, 12.5. So we thought he was off to a good start, but he still kind of misses his old place, and I see some of the resistance he's having here. I don't want to do this. I don't like big cities. So what I'm trying to do is make the connection, because before I can correct and really problem solve with him, I need to get him on my side. And one way to do it, you could do it in the moment where you're validating their feeling. Like with young kids, you can do it in the moment. You validate, oh, you must be really upset. I understand, and now it's time to go to bed. You know, when you have when you have those situations, as they get older, like I try to, like I'm dragging my son out the door to go for a walk down the street, and I make connections by just talking whatever he wants, like just like checking in with him.
Yeah, so it's kind of your connection and your validation, but then your boundary.
Yeah,
they go alongside.
Because if you see a behavior, like let me see, like a child keeps interrupting, it's like, will you stop? But then it's kind of like, if you see something consistent, it's like, wait a second, I'm just kind of scratching the surface again. Let me see what he really wants. And so what I would do is, throughout the day, make an attempt to notice him. You know, like not the praise, and I'll get to that in a minute. Oh, right there. Not the praise, but he goes, oh wow, I notice you really like art. Oh, you really like construction. So really take interest in what your child loves.
And then you kind of tend to not see the attention-seeking behaviors so much.
Mm-hmm. And that leads us to encouragement versus praise. And I'm at fault so much. Is like, oh man, I really like that. And we're trying to get away from I statements because they can be judgmental. And what I think is great, my son,
pleaser.
Yeah,
you can become a people pleaser.
You know, you're telling your child like, this is awesome, then they get to university and they're like, what is this, you know? and so you know, examples would be like, if they're working hard, oh, you worked hard, you got to be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm trying to rephrase it, because instead of saying, I'm proud of you, it's like, oh, be proud of yourself. So you're really lifting and building that, empowering your child.
Because when they go out into the big world, people will not come to them and say, I'm so proud of you for doing that. You can say, wow, I feel so proud of myself, I did that. But no, that will all stop.
And that way it's getting away from that subjective response to more like intrinsic, like, whoa. And that's another way of building
self-awareness,
yeah,
making them aware of how it's making them feel.
And then control the behavior. And this is really, like I was saying, my son was having a interesting conversation last night, and I just made sure I wasn't going to write. I made sure I stayed calm, overly calm, because you know we want to model it. One thing I can teach really quickly based on this, and I'm hoping to teach more about it next Talk Tuesday, is the brain in the palm of the hand. Where, you know, for a young child, I don't go into the hypothalamus or the cortex, but we talk about the thinking part and then the reaction part. And so what happens with our brain is, this is when we have our executive functioning. I don't use that word for kindergarten. Where we're in control. We make good choices, we think. What happens is our lid starts to flip, and that's where the phrase "flip your lid" comes from. Because, and I model this in my class too, and I don't model it as being upset, but man, I was playing, I got excited because you guys wrote today. I do all this thing where I'm working really hard. Now I gotta calm down, because now I'm thinking with my reaction. I could yell, I could fight, I could kick, I could scream, I could pinch. And so, so what happens is when you start to speak like this, neurons will actually pass to the person across from you, and they'll speak the same way. And this is one example when my daughter has a bad day and she comes home to vent, and I can tell she's like this. When I respond, my voice becomes like this, and we have to take a 20-minute timeout. Because I'm like, I want to help you, but let's wait till we're both calm. Because the neurons will pass, and one flip lid will cause another flip lid. That's why sometimes we want to correct behavior in the moment, but sometimes it's better to wait till everybody's calm, out of the moment.
And you're also then role modeling that, okay, I'm also feeling out of control, and I want to get myself back into control. So they're seeing you doing it. You're role modeling that strategy as well.
That's the 20 oh, you're welcome, thank you. That's the 20 minutes my kids give me every day after work. Yes.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I always try not to follow such a structured way with my 4-year-old, because I feel like, oh, she spends the whole day here, and it's like structured. It's okay, she sees the clock. She was like, oh, how did lunch go? Well, I couldn't finish because the red was going black. So I feel like, okay, I still want boundaries in my house. She still has time, but I don't want to be with the clock at home too. Like, to give her a little bit more flexibility, but still being structured. And for her, he has work, but the 2-year-old is another story.
No,
Yeah, they're still very young for that as well, though. But I think it's just about knowing when to use, when you might need that. Like in a classroom setting, we kind of need it because we do follow more of a structured timetable, and just giving the heads up. So it might be, okay, we've made a play date for 2 p.m. So today we really need to focus on our lunch. So it's not going to be as sociable of a lunch where you're all chatting and not eating and getting distracted. So I really need you to focus on your lunch. Would you like the visual aid? You might say. So it's using it when you need it, and just communicate. Not every day, where you don't want that in your house either, where it's like, oh my goodness, everything, like my eating time, because it's also a sociable time in your house and a time for you to relax. But then it might be that another eating time at home, you do need to really focus on your food this time, because we've got to get out of the door. We've got plans ahead for the rest of the day. But I get what you're saying, the structured, it's not something you can constantly use, but it's something that's good to use when it's needed.
Yeah, and you know your child best. You know, and every child's different. Like my daughter, when I said, oh, show's over, let's go, she'd go. And then with my son, it's like 10 more minutes. You know, I'd have to use it. And I don't have a clock. I just set my, you know, my watch or my phone, and he'll hear it, like, so he knows. So, but that's the thing. I mean, these are just tool cards that you can pull when, you know, any given time. But you know your child best.
Do you want to explain the next distract?
Distract and redirect, especially with really young children. Sometimes, you know, they might be fascinated over IT because it's new, but it's like, you know, would they rather be on IT or helping mom in the kitchen or helping with something? So sometimes it's just a simple of way, like here, the perfect example, that the child's into something he's not too, oh, let's go help mommy over here. So it's, instead of saying no and don't, it's just like, ooh, let's do this. So you're allowing them another way.
Yeah.
And speaking of do versus don't, it's, you know, even it's so hard because the first thing we want to say is like, don't, because you're thinking of protecting your child, where I'm really trying to use, even at home, what you can do. You know, a perfect example is a child's running out into the street. Don't run. What's the last thing they heard? Run. That's what they hear. So it's like walk or stop. So sometimes using don't, they don't hear that. They hear the last word. So if you're like, don't chew with your mouth open, what are they going to do? They're going to chew with their mouth open. So
also language, especially when they're young, because my little girl, she was a bit of a runner. So I used to constantly be, stop, and she would just, it was over her head. Then I started, red light. And that was something that she then responded to. So it's just sometimes about changing up your language to get what you need and to keep them safe as well. And yeah, then it kind of became a game, and she liked the red light, green light game. So that worked well for a little while.
Mm-hmm. And then empower your kids. One aspect that it's a good perspective to have is viewing all children as really capable. And I think, you know, over the course of, in the last 12 years of teaching, the mindset has shifted from teacher-directed to teaching agency with children, allowing them voice and choice and everything. And to do so, you have to view them as capable. And just empowering them and teaching them, like, you can do it, you know. That was one of the challenges we had yesterday with my son is one rule we have, one thing is like you get your IT, but you need to sign up for one after-school activity. So we really do a lot of, you know, I don't want to say compromise or negotiation. We have a list of responsibilities, and he's like, "There's nothing I like," and that's what I'm like. I'm not gonna lose my cool. And then through it, and I'm glad I was patient, is because it came down to 2, and he's like, "No." But then 1, he's like, "Yeah, my PE coach says I'm really good at this." I'm like, "Let's do this." So I finally got him to sign up, but it's really highlighting what they can do and giving them that choice to do it. Ooh, the tough one.
Following through.
Especially if you have different parenting styles than your spouse. I'm probably more, even though I'm positive discipline, I'm the more forgiving one, and I'm trying to see how I can connect and relate. But the thing with follow through, and I'm getting better, is it's not so much letting things slip, it's sticking to your word. It's like the minute you say something, you're the parent, and it's like, there's times I say something like, "Oh, why did I say that? I want to go back." But you have to stick through it. You know, you have to stick with it and follow through with it.
Yeah.
Oh, the hugs. I actually tried this when I first started teaching positive discipline at work. I was teaching a child who got upset frequently, and you know, oftentimes it was like, "Oh, do you need a hug?" "No." "Okay." I was trying everything I could, but this tactic, it's amazing how much empathy children can show. And so sometimes in the moment where they're having this tantrum or this crying fit, if I'll ask them, "Do you need a hug?" "No." I'm like, "You know, I feel like I need a hug." And it's amazing how much they'll stop and give you a hug. I'm like, I didn't think it was going to work, and I tried it. I'm like, oh my God, it works. So sometimes it's it's rephrasing that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a question regarding follow through.
Yeah.
I always set this example because I read for them before bed and they sleep at 7 and then they have a clock in the room and when 7:00 they didn't finish what they have to do, I will stop reading or I will not read. But like they will cry before bed and I don't want them to cry before they sleep.
Yeah.
So I have these two things. Like sometimes I just read, I will give you 5-10 minutes gap, but like they aim for the gap now.
Yeah, but I think as long as it's not that they're 7 o'clock and the book was finished and they're coming up with all kinds of excuses like, now I'm hungry, now I need water, now I need this. I think that there's no harm in going past the 7 o'clock to finish the book. Is that what you're...
It's like before 7, they have to go and finalize the thing they have to do, like shower,
okay.
eating, brushing teeth and everything. They take time with this, and then I say,
Oh,
okay,
okay,
now it's 7,
yes. Oh, so
I'm
now we
gonna
don't
be
get
able-
time for the
yeah,
story.
they will cry.
Yeah.
Either I will leave my children cry before they sleep, and this is something that's not good also.
Yeah.
Start early.
Yeah.
I have a small solution for that. Because when you're reading, they would pick up another book and another book.
Yeah.
So I have a solution. For that is I will read larger words, and my daughter will read the smaller words, which she's learning these days.
Yeah.
So I will stop. Like for example, if I'm saying the princess went down from the horse, so the small words she is reading, and I will stop myself there with my finger. She will pronounce them, then I will go forward. And you will believe me, after one page, she will say, I'm ready to sleep.
When you pass the hard work onto them.
I know.
You include, that's what
Yes,
we
yeah.
include them. So I just
Yeah.
included her.
That's
And I
awesome.
said, we'll just read together.
Yeah.
So I think for you with they would cry once and then the next day you could say, okay, remember last night we couldn't read your story? Let's start getting ready a little bit faster. And you'll see that it wouldn't go a whole week where they're crying because they will then learn that if we're not quick at doing this, we don't get our story. So it might be that they go to bed one time crying because they didn't get the story, but you've then set that boundary where when it comes to teeth brushing time, I really need you to be quick because it's eating up into our story time. And remember last week when you didn't get the story. And then they'll realize that, okay, mommy means what she says because last time she didn't read us the story.
Setting the boundaries.
Yeah, it's hard.
And you know,
say it's my favorite time
Yeah.
of the day. I want to read.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go.
And let them know how much you also really want. It's not just that you want me to read it. Sorry, you could even say it like that, just changing your language. Come on, I really want to read you this story. I've read it before and it's super exciting at the end. I really want you to see what happens at the end.
Yeah, or
please, can you be fast for
get ready
mommy?
early enough when it can be 2 stories, you know, it's just like extra mommy time. Like using those kind of key words where it's like, oh, okay.
And they think they're doing something for you as well. It kind of just changes that mommy's been waiting all day to read you this story and I flicked through and I know what's going to happen. It just gives them that power as well that, oh, mommy wants to read to us.
And I think with my 4-year-old, we're getting to longer books and we just say, okay, 1 chapter today.
Yeah.
So you're looking forward the next day. Okay, hurry up.
Yeah.
The second chapter is due
Yeah.
today. Let's go read it.
Yeah, remember what happened last
Laying
time?
around so they do it.
Yeah.
And one thing, I was just reading this, and children do better when they feel better, and it was what comes to mind when I was running these parent workshops is really to empower the parents, all of us as well, because when you guys feel good, you do good. And there's going to be days you're in a slump, and you have to be forgiving of yourself, because and that's my go-to line, like I repeated, I'm human, I'm not a robot, you know, and I make mistakes, and I think what children love is when you can admit that you made a mistake, because I think it's like it shows that human side. Like, you know, the old Mr. Josh be like, I know everything. I'm like, I don't know enough.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
They're
know
teaching
enough.
us every day.
And the kids do. I mean, when you think the last 28 years in the classroom, if you look at the very first year I taught, you're like, that's teaching, to now. So like it's this evolution that's so amazing.
And going back to the crying is probably just that if we cry, Mummy will read it. You know, it's just the tip of the iceberg as well. And but I know mum guilt can make you then, oh, I feel so bad, and now they're going to sleep, and we've ended the day on crying. But sometimes it has to happen in order to set that boundary and the consistency.
On the harsher side, you can let them cry one day as much as they want.
Yeah.
It will stop because they saw that nobody's doing it. Give them a.
It's so hard at the start.
It is.
Yeah. It is very difficult. It is
Everybody's tired.
challenging.
Yeah,
And
they're tired. And a good night's sleep, they're going to wake up and they go, oh yeah, I feel great again.
And they,
You know.
the next morning they wake up and they're happy and they love you and they want to give you hugs and kisses. And then you say, oh, remember tonight, let's get ready really, really fast for bed because we didn't get to read that story yesterday. For self-regulation, which books would you recommend?
Material resources, anything that you might think would be helpful.
I would look, this is a great resource on behaviors.